This is DW News live from Berlin. Tonight, U.S. President Trump calls for compromise in Congress, an end to the politics of revenge, and he announces another summit with the North Korean leader. In his second State of the Union speech, Trump also aimed at that probe into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election.
An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations.
We'll bring you full analysis of Donald Trump's State of the Union address to the U.S. Congress. DW News starts right now. I'm Brent Goff. It's good to have you with us. The State of the Union is strong. That was the message of U.S. President Donald Trump to the U.S. Congress tonight. Trump addressed many points in his second State of the Union speech. He called again for a wall to be built between the U.S. and Mexico, and he accused China of stealing American intellectual property. He also made a major foreign policy announcement. Trump will meet North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, for a second summit later this month.
If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea. My relationship with Kim Jong-un is a good one. Chairman Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam.
And for full analysis of the State of the Union speech, we've got team coverage. Here in the studio with me is William Noah Glucroft, my colleague, and in Washington, D.C., our Washington Bureau Chief, Alexander Fanaman. Alexander, let me start with you. The second summit between Trump and Kim is now on. Is that what Congress wanted to hear tonight?
Well, I think we can assume that on both sides of the aisle, a lot of lawmakers are quite skeptical with regard to this second summit. Many of them, of course, are happy that Donald Trump is not talking anymore about fire and fury while dealing with North Korea. But we also have to say that there has been no missile and nuclear tests since the first summit, but we still don't have any evidence that North Korea is really determined to give up its nuclear weapons. Instead, there are new intelligence reports saying that they are just trying to hide them. So there is a lot of criticism on Capitol Hill, and many people are asking themselves right now what President Trump may say or offer Kim Jong-un during this second summit.
Yeah, there are lots of unanswered questions about the situation with North Korea, and the U.S. president, William, made an assertion tonight that called everyone's attention, saying that if he were not president, the U.S. would be at war with North Korea right now. Did he give any evidence to back up that claim?
He didn't give a lot of evidence for a lot of his claims. In fact, a lot of his claims have been repeatedly refuted, especially on the immigration issues, illegal immigrations, crossings. I mean, crossings are down, apprehensions are down. There's very little evidence to suggest physical barriers really do anything to prevent illegal immigrants from crossing. So a lot of his claims have been rather unfounded and have been repeatedly refuted. In terms of North Korea, you can't prove a negative. We don't know. He was elected by not the popular vote, but he was elected. We don't know how it would be with another president. So that's kind of a hard claim to make.
Yeah, and we have to point out, too, that most of the speech tonight was not about foreign policy. Most of the speech tonight was about domestic issues. And that, of course, has to do with the Mueller investigation. The U.S. president, he attacked that investigation into alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, calling it, and I'm quoting here, dangerous to the U.S. economy.
An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations. If there is going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, we can see right there, Alexandra, that the president did not get a big round of applause with that statement. I mean, he's addressing what he perceives to be a threat to his presidency, that being the Mueller probe. Do you think that is going to make any difference, though, to the way that probe is being carried out or the other investigations that are taking place, for that matter?
No, I don't think so. I think that the Mueller investigation is going to continue. Actually, we are hearing that Mueller is wrapping up his investigation, and then it will be up to the Justice Department whether to publish the results or not. President Trump, in a recent interview, has not committed to publishing the results, but if they are out, if the investigation is finished, done, then the Democrats will decide whether they are willing to introduce impeachment proceedings. And talking about a lot of other investigations taking place into the Trump administration, into the Trump organization, his foundation, etc. They has been started, they has been launched, and they are going on.
Yeah, and it's interesting, William. I mean, he went into this discussion about investigations, peace, legislation, war very early on in the speech. Did you get the sense that this is a president who realizes that he no longer can he have his way in Congress, but the woman sitting behind him, Nancy Pelosi, that also she may actually have a stronger hand in set of the cards in her hand than he does right now.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi is a pro. You can like her, you can hate her, but she is a pro. She's been doing this for a very long time. She's very good at whipping people into shape in her Congress. And it really goes to show the difference between someone who really knows how to navigate the halls of power, like Nancy Pelosi, and someone like Donald Trump, who, again, regardless where you fall on liking him or not liking him, he doesn't really know how government works. He doesn't really know which levers to pull like Nancy Pelosi does. And she's often been underestimated in her career, including within her own party. And I think we're starting to see this power balance now, and it's a very interesting power balance shaping up.
Yeah, Alexandra, what do you think? Is President Trump, is he showing signs that he's aware of what is happening?
Well, this is quite difficult to say if he is aware, because, as you know, he doesn't like to listen to his advisors, and he thinks that he is the best deal maker in the world, that he is the best president the U.S. has ever had. So this is a difficult question to answer. However, he is now certainly struggling to adapt to this new era of divided government. And the first lesson he had to learn was, of course, the decision by Nancy Pelosi to disinvite him from holding the State of the Union during the governmental shutdown until he reopened the government, which he eventually did.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And we know that government shutdown was the result of Congress and the White House's inability to find common ground over that border wall between the U.S. and Mexico, which the president wants. The president spent a lot of time tonight talking about his demands for that border wall. Take a listen.
My administration has sent to Congress a common sense proposal to end the crisis on the southern border. It includes humanitarian assistance, more law enforcement, drug detection at our ports, closing loopholes that enable child smuggling, and plans for a new physical barrier or wall to secure the vast areas between our ports of entry. In the past, most of the people in this room voted for a wall, but the proper wall never got built. I will get it built.
And William, okay, let's do some fact checking here. I mean, the president is correct in saying that there was a vote in the past to build some type of barrier and that some Democrats voted for it.
A lot of Democrats voted for it. I believe he's referring to the Secure Fence Act of 2006, which came out of George W. Bush. If people can remember back to George W. Bush's time, immigration was also a big issue then. Illegal immigration, a lot of these accusations of criminals coming across the border, drugs, securing the border. This is not a new topic to Donald Trump. And a lot of prominent Democrats, not Nancy Pelosi, but a lot of prominent Democrats, did vote for this Secure Fence Act. It laid out funding for 700 miles of fencing. About 550 miles has been built. Keep in mind, the U.S.-Mexico border is about 2,000 miles long. The 550 miles cost, according to an economist estimate, $2.3 billion and another $450 million in maintenance since then. And projecting forward, the lifespan of that fence would cost another tens of billions of dollars to maintain for just 550 miles of fence.
Yeah. But they could reach agreement on finishing that. But it's something bigger at play here. The border wall, the notion of the border wall has become emblematic of the inability of Congress and the White House to see eye to eye. And he doesn't give the impression at all that he's going to give any ground from where he's standing. So it makes you think that we have another looming shutdown to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bigger takeaway here is we've seen over many years, also before Trump was president, this gradual ratcheting up of kicking the can down the road and resorting to extreme options to get anything done in the U.S. Congress and the U.S. government in general. You've seen this with passing budgets. Yeah. You've seen this with the debt ceiling. You've seen this, now we're seeing this with government shutdowns, where there have been shutdowns in the past. They were relatively short. They got resolved. Maybe there was a continuing resolution to keep the government funded, again, kicking the can down the road. And now we're even kicking government shutdowns down the road to next week. And you really have to wonder where all of this is going. It has to give at some point where there needs to be some amount of functioning government to get anything done.
And let me, let that be my last question to Alexandra. Where are we going, Alexandra? Are you preparing to have to report on a second government shutdown?
Well, I'm prepared for everything because President Trump has not ruled out that there will be possibly another government shutdown, or he may also declare a national emergency at the border to Mexico. So we are prepared for everything. But what we know is that almost no one on Capitol Hill wants to go through another government shutdown again.
Okay, well, we certainly hope that you don't have to report on another one as well. Alexander Phenomen in Washington, William Glucroft here at the big table. To both of you, thank you very much. Excellent analysis tonight of the second State of the Union address by President Trump.